Feel free to, if you want to sit here, you may. If you want to sit back down there, you may. Pastor Dan and I are going to close this out. I'm actually going to run, I'm big into video clips, and so I'm going to try to run here if I can make it go. I'm going to run a quick 3-minute video clip, and then Dan and I will wrap this up.
One day, we will wake up to find that the energy that powers the alarm clock came from the breeze through the trees the night before. And we will go to work that morning riding the rays of the sun. It will light our cities and power our businesses. It will warm our homes and cool our workplaces. It will reduce sources of conflict and fuel our economies. It will connect us all. It won't scar the land or poison the seas. The food we eat will be good for our bodies and good for the planet. And the weather that day won't make us worry for tomorrow. There will be more jobs and less disease. The sea level will stop rising, and species will stop dying. The question is, how do we get to that day from where we are today? All 7.3 billion of us. We start by deciding that beyond our doubts and differences, such a day truly exists. And that is something each of us can do today. We can make today the day we stop thinking that the changes required to get there are impossible and beyond us, and start realizing that they are not only possible, but what the future requires of us. We must stop turning from the warnings of science and fear and denial, and instead turn toward the solutions and partnerships we need. We can make today the day we stop pointing at each other in blame, and instead chart a new course together. We have never faced a crisis this big, but we have never had a better opportunity to solve it. We have everything we need to wake up to a different kind of world. We need our leaders to be brave and their choices to be bold. They will either remember us as the generation that destroyed its home, or the one that finally came to respect it. We have every reason in the world to act. We can't wait until tomorrow. This is our only home. You can choose today to make a world of difference.
Some folks have asked me, Tim, why do you care? Why is this so important to you? And I am somebody who's gone through an interesting faith journey. This quote here is what motivates me. And at the end of the day, and we've touched on it briefly, this is not a head thing. This is a heart thing. And the verse up there by John is ultimately what, for me, it's all about. Katharine Hayhoe is a wonderful climate scientist. She's married to an evangelical pastor. She is arguably the best person at communicating the blend of science and faith that I've ever listened to. If there's one person that you would choose to listen to get both faith and science together in a very humble way, it is Katharine Hayhoe. She is absolutely the best. And her statement, her quote up there, and she's actually going to be talking, she talked last night in Madison, and we'll be talking tonight on the same type of topic in Madison, Wisconsin. Our voices are needed in this. The Christian faith, all faith voices are needed in this. And that doesn't mean that you can't be of any political ideology that you want. It's totally fine. But the way that our planet is going to come together in the way that Pope Francis talks about is by us in this room having respectful dialogue with each other like we've done in this space. And to give our elected officials the permission to argue about the best policy to take us to that new place that Morgan Freeman was talking about. And so, the things then that people ask, well, Tim, what have you done? What has your family done to show that you care? So I've got my good friend John Rivers, was up in the back there a while ago. John Rivers and myself, our families entered into a friendly competition to see who could reduce electricity use in our household. And he wins at this point because I'm driving an electric car and he's not. But our electric bill went down $50 a month, from $100 a month to $50. We purchased wind energy. This is an opportunity that's on the back of your sheet. You can choose to buy wind energy. You don't need to burn the coal. You can buy wind energy to power your lights at your house. We recycle 5 times more than we dispose. We buy 100% recycled paper, and that includes the paper that we use in the restroom. We drive really efficient cars, at least we try to. And outside, talk about innovation, electric cars, there's a whole line of them there. Please go talk to those folks. There's Leafs that are there, which is what that car is, that's mine. It costs me 1.5 cents per mile. To give you an idea, my truck, which is a Prius, it costs 8.5 cents per mile to drive. We buy local as much as possible. We eat in-season food as much as possible. We garden and compost as much as possible. We buy products that don't have palm oil as much as possible. Limit the disposable products. Where I have to fly for my work, and my work, by the way, is Microsoft, it is good business for Microsoft. Thank you, Savannah. It is good business for Microsoft to be carbon neutral, and we are, and we're making a lot of money because we made a decision to do that, as is Facebook and Apple. GM's going that way. All these massive General Mills, Cargill, all the businesses are realizing the value of sustainability, which is fantastic for the business community. This is the biggest one, in my opinion, and that is to engage your elected officials. That doesn't mean you club them over the head. Give them permission. Let them know you care. You care because you're a Christian. I let them know that I care because I care about my brothers and sisters that are down the street, in the next state, in the next country, or halfway around the world getting pummeled by typhoons that are amped by climate change. Let them know you care, and I know for a fact that your voice matters when you contact them. And on the back of your sheet of things that you can do, it gives you the ability to find out who your elected official is and just say you care. So, with that, 3 things we talked about, Dan and I talked about 3 things that we can do as a group, as you know, there's a lot of things here. People have a tendency to remember the groups of 3, and so I teed up 3 of them. Reduce your carbon footprint at home and within your faith community. And on the back side of your sheet are ways to do that. The second one, I talked about regularly, tell your elected state officials that you care. There are avenues on we call it the upper path. So it's the path that's up here as you guys leave to meet with folks. Citizens Climate Lobby is one of them. They're a very nonprofit, nonpartisan. I wouldn't even associate myself with them if I even sensed there was partisanship. We have 30% of our membership are Republican and 70% are Democrat, and our goal is to get that to be 50-50. And then commit to telling one person today about what you learned back in your faith community. And then see if you can't get that small group of faith community people that Deacon Glenn was talking about in your church community to form a little team to make a difference within your campus. So, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Pastor Dan for a closing prayer and send off.
Once again, thank you to Tim, and thank you for really for a whole slew of preachers and a couple other people who are used to talking in this world, we're only 5 minutes over. We did pretty good, okay? So for the pastors, faith community leaders who would like, there is a lunch today upstairs, and you would be free, you'd be welcome to join us for free lunches, and we'll very soon with some conversation with Paul and John. Okay. I have a prayer. If you would please stand, and please join me in this. Most gracious God, creator of all good things, we thank you for planet Earth and for all creatures that share it. Have mercy on us. Nicely timed. Through ignorance and carelessness, we've poisoned clean air and pure water. For monetary gain, we've reduced verdant forests to barren wastes. In our craving for more, we have plundered your beloved creation and driven many of our fellow creatures to extinction. Only recently have we begun to realize the dangerous future into which our current patterns of consumption are driving us, especially in relation to Earth's climate. Only recently have we begun to see our need to find a wiser and better and indeed more faithful way to live. We join with all in prayer today who believe that the time has come. Please guide us now, our God, at this critical moment in history, to better fulfill our roles as stewards of this fragile planet. Guide the leaders of nations. Give them courage to set noble goals that reach beyond short-range political expediency, short-term economic profit, and short-sighted self-interest. Impress upon their conscience and our conscience the sacred duty to bequeath to our children and grandchildren a healthy and thriving environment rather than a world in crisis. Rouse us all to action, for we are woven together in the fabric of creation. This is the moment, God, when a great turning of hearts must begin. So through this prayer, this conversation, this time, we have many traditions, joined by friends and neighbors of many faiths, unite our hearts in a cry for change. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen. Godspeed, everyone. Let your homecomings be joyful.